The keys to an efficient jab. You gotta make sure the first thing that will move is your fist. You will push off your rear leg as you step in and step back as fast as possible. Your other hand has to stay up in all time. I'm with Usain in open stance. And I will always, as I'm throwing my jab, try to duck my head outside of his center line. Open stance, when I throw my jab, I try to step on my opponent's foot. When I'm close stance, my foot will go inside of his lead foot. There is so many ways to throw a jab. Now I'm gonna show you a different variation with Richard and his focus mitt. There is the old standard way. So I make sure that my fist is the thing that moves first as I'm stepping in and out. There is the power jab that I use against Josh Koscheck to cause a lot of damage. I like to start it from down to up, so it starts from outside of the field of vision of my opponent. My other hand always stayed up. There is also a jab that I use as a decoy to get inside my opponent's leg to score a takedown. There is the jab that I use as a distraction to hit my opponent with an overhand. I want you to remember the key principles to an efficient jab. Make sure your fist moves first, you keep your rear hand up, and you quickly step in and step out when you throw your jab. The keys to an efficient cross. You have to make sure that your fist is the first thing that moves if you go with a lead cross. You push off your rear foot and all the weight is transferred to your fist as you're turning your hips in. Your other hand has to stay up in all time. The right hand can be used as a good weapon when you blitz. It can also be used as a decoy when you want to go for a takedown. You can use your right hand also the same way I use it when I fought Jay Aaron, as a power strike. It can also be used as a counter strike when your opponent jab you. There is many ways to use your rear cross. The keys to an efficient lead hook. All the power of the lead hook comes from the rotation of the torso. Your lead foot needs to pivot as you're throwing your lead hook. Make sure at the moment of impact that your fist is aligned with your elbow. Your other hand has to stay up. The hooks are a very efficient weapon in close counter combat. However, when you're in close counter combat, always remember to keep your hands up because you're in proximity of your opponent. So you can use your hook to go to the body and go to the head. Mike Tyson was the master at this. You can also use your hooks as a counter. That's what I did when I fought Michael Bisping for the title. You throw a cross and I come back over the top. The keys to an efficient lead uppercut. The power of an uppercut comes from the leg and the hips. The weight will transfer from the leg to the fist. You gotta make sure that when you throw the uppercut that you don't come up as you throw the uppercut because you become a vulnerable target for your opponent. Tilt your spine to the side, and then when you throw your uppercut, you stay down. Only your fists go up, and you create a rotation around your spine, and you keep your other hands up. The keys to an efficient rear uppercut. You gotta make sure you transfer the weight from your rear leg into your knuckle. You tilt your body to the side and you create a rotation around your spine. Your lead hand will stay up in all time, and you wanna make sure that when you throw the uppercut that you don't come up in the same time, you stay down. Only your fist comes up, and you transfer the weight on your knuckle. The uppercuts are a very sneaky weapon, especially in close counter combat. When you throw it, remember to stay down and rotate around your spine. So when I get in, I want to stay down. I don't want to come up as I'm throwing my uppercut because it makes me vulnerable to a counter strike. So also the uppercut can be used as a very good, powerful weapon behind a jab. It slips right between my opponent's guard. The keys to efficient elbows. When I throw elbows, I want to make sure I turn my pinky up. That makes my bone coming out. The power of my elbow comes from the rotation of my body and my hips. It comes from up to down. I can also use spike elbow that comes from down to up. Like a punch, I'm using the rotation of my body and the weight transfer from my foot to the point of my elbow. Elbows can be a very lethal weapon in the clinch close counter combat. Can be used as a spike elbow, thrusting weapon, as a way to get in. It can be used in the clinch also, coming from the side or up to down. It can be used also as an exit in the clinch in a spinning motion. We've seen John Jones making this technique very popular. The keys to an efficient lead front kick. You want to transfer all the weight on your back leg. Keep your hands up in all time. Snap your hips forward, lift your knee, and hit with the sole of your foot. The keys to an efficient rear front kick. You want to keep your hands up in all time. Hit with the sole of your foot underneath your opponent's chin. Make sure you lift your knee first and snap your hips forward and back as you kick. The front kicks can be used by both of my legs, the lead and the rear, in a defensive and offensive way. Can be used in a defensive way when I try to create space with my opponent or when I try to back him up. It can be used in an offensive way if I try to target my opponent's liver. It can be used also in a very sneaky way if I hit my opponent underneath the chin with the sole of my foot, because it's a strike that comes from outside of his field of vision. Remember, when you use your kick, always kick in a kicking range. Don't kick your opponent when you're in punching range. The keys to an efficient lead side kick. You want to transfer the weight on your rear leg first. Lift your knees. Extend your foot and hit your opponent with the arch and your heel. Make sure you keep your hands up at all time. The keys to an efficient rear leg side kick. I want to keep my hands up at all time. When I hit, I want to make sure I turn my foot away from the target. I hit with the heel and the arch of my foot. I lift my knee always before I hit. The side kicks can be used in a similar way whether you use your lead or rear leg. Remember what Bruce Lee says. Use your longest weapon against your opponent's nearest point. I can use this one to create space. I can use my side kick also as a counter weapon when my opponent is pressuring me. The keys to an efficient roundhouse kick. I want to turn my foot away from the target when I hit. Lift my knee first, keep my hands up at all time. Snap my hips forward and back. The keys to an efficient rear leg roundhouse kick. I want to keep my hands up at all time. Turn my foot away from the target. Snap my hips forward and back, and always lift my knee before I kick. Roundhouse kick or mawashigiri can be used in many different ways. I can use it with my lead or rear leg. It can be used to kill my opponent's mobility by targeting his leg. I can also use it to hit my opponent's peroneal nerves that could numb his leg and end the fight. But one of my favorite ways to use it is to trying to knock my opponent out. That's what I did when I fought Matt Hughes. With a nice setup, you go to the head. The keys to an efficient back kick. I make sure that my eyes comes first before I hit. Then I lift my knee, I keep it tight, and I hit with my heel. The back kicks are probably the most powerful weapon strike you can use, because it's using a spinning motion with your leg. You can use it as a counter strike or as an offensive strike if you step in. The keys to efficient knees. I want to snap my hips forward, point my knees towards the target, make sure my hands are up or on the target, and my foot on the floor will go on the tip of my toes. Knees can be used in many different ways. You can use a flying knee to try to knock your opponent out, but most of the time, we see people using it in the clinch to target the leg or the body. Here and here. You can also use it very efficiently when you control your opponent's head. And if he blocks it, you go over the top.